And on the left side, I don't see any daylight. Alright. So this is kind of weird. So let me swivel the head the other way. I got to put the camera down for a minute. I swivel the head the other way. We'll talk about daylight. Let's see if we're going to get any daylight here. Yeah, okay, now we're all the way over the other way. Picking it up again. And you can see this is touching, that's for sure. Right there at the back of the arc. And that's touching. That's for sure. And the front is touching, but only on the side that's closest to the lens. The far side, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, and I can't hold this thing steady enough, but it takes some positioning. But there's daylight at the bottom over here, okay? So something's weird. And what the deal is there's some kind of weirdness. Either this pivot pin is slightly bent, which I think is probably what the likely scenario is, or it's binding on the miter itself, which I don't think it's doing right now. And I got a friend over there, and I think it's binding. Let's see. You can't really see, it's dark down there, but it's offset in the hole there. So anyway, the deal is I want to get this thing squared away, you know, make it right, because it's for the unisaw and whatever, okay? And I'm totally rejabulating the whole unisaw from top to bottom, and I'm making Biessemeyer fence and all that other kind of stuff. But first I want to get this old miter guide squared away, you know. I don't mind making a whole new bar. I want to keep this head, of course, which is the main reason I bought the miter guide. And I need, seeing as I'm 61 years old, that's a little tiny stud there, real short. Maybe sticks up 5/8 of an inch, give or take. Certainly not more than 3/4. I bet my life on that. It's probably closer to 5/8. And actually, it might even be 9/16 above the lock, what I call the lockdown surface. But anyway, when you put this little tiny, I call it a little tiny dinky knob. It's most guys probably would like this knob. I don't know. It's the original knob. It's a Darra James, you know. But I want a big giant, about the same diameter as this, except maybe 4 inches tall, so I can ring it down with my entire hand. You know, like like that, like I grab a door handle on a restaurant or something. You know, so you can really torque it down snug. Also, you can push it easy. You don't have to reach down and push on this little tiny dingle thing. You can push on a big giant thing, and that's my goal. Okay, but I figured while I'm working on that, I really want to get these clearances figured out here, and I just don't know what the deal is with it, you know. You can tell, see there's some slight casting defects there, I guess. This is cast iron, however, not pot metal, which is why I like it. Because I like my stuff to be built strong, to be built right the first time, to be operating good the first time, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I don't care if it takes me 3 or 4 days to get it right from the get-go. That's what it takes. But then from there on out, I don't have to worry about it ever, and because it's done. You know what I mean? So give me some advice on this. What do you think that pivot pin is there? I'm thinking what it could be is a tapered pin. It could be a taper pin. There could be a taper from this side, a tapered bore with a larger part upward, and this could be a tapered bore, correct for the tapered pin. Okay? So what they did, I'm guessing now, I don't know this for sure, is they drove the taper pin into this one, and they started it in this other bore, which you can't see, it's in shadow. They started it in the other bore, and probably what they did is they pinned it down, because there's no Allen slot there, obviously, and there's no rivet head. So I'm thinking it must be a taper in the opposite direction, or maybe it's a straight pin, and maybe it was a straight pin and they tapered both bores are tapered, and they just in effect riveted it into the tapers in both directions. So that means if I want to get that thing out, which would be a sort of a task, I'd have to drill it out or mill it out, either one of which I could do, assuming that the thing wouldn't spin. And that's another little part of this deal here. It doesn't seem to unscrew, okay? When you take off this knob, let me remove this knob here, and if it was a, let's say for the sake of discussion, that it was a right-hand thread, that would mean that when I turn this thing leftward, I'd have a massive amount of clearance under the miter head, which I don't. It's harder to turn, yeah, see? There you go. Now, there's like almost no clearance under the miter head leftward, and when I swing it rightward, the opposite way, turn that over, it's the same deal. So the thing ain't unscrewing, and it's not a right-hand thread and it's not a left-hand thread, so it's not threaded, is my belief. So that means this must be a rivet, or in effect made into a rivet, because it was probably either a straight pin or a roll pin that they riveted from one side and held. They held one side in place and then riveted the other one, and then possibly ground it off, because there is some grinding marks there, and I don't know if you can see them in this video. I'll get in real close and try to be still. But yeah, you can see there's some grinding marks. And the back of this thing is apparently all machined. Well, we know it was machined. Well, you can see the marks from where it's been sliding on table saws over the years, over the decades. And but I really don't know how to get that thing out of there, so I've been trying to mull it over. If I start to mill it out, well, number one, I'll have to put a bigger, well, see, that's partially underneath that what do they call it, a bulkhead or a bastion or whatever that thing is, that knob there. It's partially in there in a recess, see? So, so how to get this thing tweaked, dialed in, you know, that's the big question. You know, I've been thinking about it, and this other helper of mine over here, she's been thinking about it. And she just can't figure out, she can't figure out what to do. And I can't either. So this is my miter guide, and this is my big kitty. She's real happy. She says "murr," don't you, baby? Okay, yeah. She's a dilute calico. Yeah, and this is a miter guide. It's a Darra James. This company's been out of business for a real long time, but it doesn't mean they didn't make a great miter guide, okay? But it just needs a little dialing in. Could have been dropped. Who knows, you know? Needs to be dialed in a little bit more to meet my standards. So let me know what you think, and have a nice day. Get with me. Shoot me an email. Thanks. Bye-bye.